right, everybody, we're here today with our first Cabral HouseCall of the weekend. Love being able to check in with our community each and every Saturday and Sunday, answer 10 to 12 of your questions, and sometimes even turn these questions into a larger Cabral concept podcast during the week. So without further ado, let's dive right into your questions. They're all wellness-based, weight loss, weight gain, anti-aging, longevity, high performance health, all that good stuff. So let's dive right in. Just open the document up. As I said, I never do any prep work simply because my job is to answer these questions based on the past 25 years or so in this amazing industry and working with well over 250,000 people, running over 500,000 labs now. So we've got a lot of data. We want to use that data for good, give the information away for free as much as humanly possible so that you can then share it with people that you care for, whether in your own practice or in your life. All right, Molly's up first. And Molly says, hi, Dr. Brawl. I'm feeling a bit stuck in my health journey right now. I'm a 45-year-old female. I'm undergoing several tests. I've discovered that I have low levels of DHEA, progesterone, and estrogen, as well as low thyroid function and dysbiosis. By dysbiosis, I'm assuming you mean gut imbalances. I'm struggling to figure out where to begin addressing these issues. It's unclear whether the dysbiosis is causing the hormonal imbalances or if it's the other way around. Additionally, I'm not sure if stress might be contributing to all of these issues. I feel like I'm going in circles and would really appreciate any advice you have on how to proceed. Thank you so much for your help, Molly. All right, Molly, happy to help. We deal with this literally every single day. Don't feel like you are alone. You should be working with an IHP level 2 or one of our Equal Life coaches. And that's because all of this is it's actually very easy to figure out. It doesn't mean that just because something is easy to know that it's easy to do, right? That's the thing I always try to share with people. I know that I should do certain things, but I also have other things in my life competing with those things, right? So it's we have to know, and then we have to dip our toes in, and then at some point we need to go all in. So here's the thing. It's not that, it's just a gut issue or it's just a stress issue. As you've heard me probably say before many times in other podcasts, that if I could only fix 2 things to help people get well, out of everything in the world, it would be stress, so emotional, relationship, outside stressors, and then gut health. Without a doubt, that would be it. Now, of course, there's much more I'd love to do as well, but if you could only give me 2, that's what I'd work on. So here's the thing though. You know that you have low levels of DHEA, progesterone, estrogen, and thyroid. So we know all your hormones are low, right? Literally all of your hormones are low. I don't know if testosterone is, but that's okay. So we have low DHEA as well, low estrogen, low progesterone. Most likely, this is a chronic form of stress. Doesn't say, I don't think, if you have a menstrual cycle or not anymore. Either way, you've got low hormone and low thyroid, which is the more of the giveaway that this may be a chronic stress-based issue, right? So I don't know what your cortisol levels look like, but our job is to help repair and restore not just the adrenals. People say, got to work on the adrenals. Sure. But it's really the HPA axis, the hypothalamus communicating to the pituitary gland in your brain, then communicating to your adrenals. And once we work on that, then thyroid will also come into balance. So for someone like yourself, you're going to work with a coach. They're probably going to use sleep-based protocols to make sure sleep is repaired. They'll give you a daily thyroid support, most likely. They'll probably use Adrenal Soothe and full spectrum magnesium, but work with your coach on these things to get the specific recommendations. And then if there are gut issues, because you ran the Candida metabolic and vitamins test as part of the Big 5 labs, then we're going to do the CBO protocol if that needs to be fixed. The way that I ultimately got well is that I worked on all of my deficiencies and toxicities. Now, you can do those in a very specific order, and the team will teach you that. But the truth is that you need to actually work on all the things. And I have a podcast. So why don't you write in at cabralsupportgroup.com, because you get same-day answers. Just say, can you share the Cabral Concept podcast that teaches you how to do the protocols in order? Because I have a protocol that takes you through, do your lab testing, then parasupport protocol if you have the parasites, H. pylori, then work on the CBO protocol, then work on the CBO finisher. So it kind of takes you those in order. And so you can always write in as well to cabralsupportgroup.com. All right. Thank you, Molly. Laurie's up next. Hi, Dr. Brawl. Thank you for all your knowledge and generosity. You've made a big difference in my life. Happy to hear that, Laurie, and I appreciate you. Thank you for saying that. My question is, I found out I have a vagal, let me see if I can pronounce this correctly,
Schwannoma in my neck, right next to the carotid bifurcation. Okay, so for those who don't know what that is, when it says that there is a vagal schwannoma, it is a benign cyst or benign tumor, typically not necessarily cancerous, and it is right where they call it the terminal, but the end of the common carotid artery is. All right, so it's up in the neck. Just kind of want to put that into general terms so we kind of all know what we're talking about here. Okay, so they've been watching it for 2.5 years on MRIs every 6 months. After slow growth, we've decided I should just remove it and move on with my life. We looked into radiation as well, but for some reason, despite all the risks I face with this location being operated on, I'm leaning towards surgery, but I would really love to know what advice you would have. Also, should I do the surgery, which is scheduled for this summer? How would you suggest I prepare for the surgery, and how are there certain things I should have ready to help with the healing from surgery? Thank you so much for your advice. Okay, so you know what? I literally have so many shows on what to do for surgery. So many shows. I know Michelle Blake is probably, saying like, yes, you do. We have a lot of shows on that, but I should probably do just a show on recovering from surgery. And so it can maybe be, even though I have a bunch of shows already on recovering from surgery, but it's basically, okay, we need to stop our omega-3s a week or two before surgery. Basically anything that would be a natural blood thinner, right? And you're going to work with your doctor, of course, on this. But what we want to do is we want to improve the body's recuperation from surgery. And, we use the daily foundational protocol, plus we're using the advanced collagen support afterwards and the healthy gut support, or the CBO finisher, because we want our probiotic in there too. So there's a lot to that. I've got a bunch of podcasts on it, so we want to help you with that. But let's go over this. So, just keep in mind, you wrote in 3 months ago, so it takes anywhere from 10 to 12 weeks typically to get your question answered live on the show. And what I want to share with you is that I can't give you any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, or medical diagnosis. So, and you know that, right? You know that, but you're just asking, like, what would I do? Like, what would I personally do if I was in your situation? And I actually don't think that you're making an incorrect choice. Like, I think that if I were in your same position and I continued to see this grow, and it was potentially going to start, it was going to start pressing on my carotid artery or other things in my neck, would I want radiation or would I want a minor surgery to remove it? I would probably want the minor surgery. That's the truth. And the reason is that I do not want to radiate my body. And especially near my brain, and especially near my jaw, the bones there, I wouldn't want that done. So I'd be working with a skilled surgeon. I would get 3 opinions from 3 different surgeons and 3 different experts in the field. What should I do? And then I would move forward with that. And because these things happen, we can't control everything with our health over the years. We can control chronic disease, no doubt about that. We can control heart, blood pressure, diabetes, type 2 diabetes I'm talking about, Alzheimer's, dementia, one and the same. And what else did I leave? But cancer, as I've said before, we live in a chemical soup, and some of us are more prone to cancer than others. And I'm not saying that you have cancer, but you have a benign cyst or benign tumor that may need to be removed because it could cause issues even though it's benign, meaning non-malignant. So I don't think you're making the wrong decision. If I was in your same position, probably make the same decision. All right. But again, this is personal. So this is for you to decide. I can't give you any medical advice. All right. That was Laurie. And, but again, we're going to be thinking about you, Laurie, and can't wait to hear your success story there. And then you'll have all the podcasts on how to recover from surgery as well. All right, Kristen is up next. Are sparkling waters bad for our bones? I drink about 2 spindrifts per day, in addition to plenty of water, small amounts of coffee in the morning, and tea several times per day. I was diagnosed with osteopenia, so I need to be extra cautious. I've already made so many changes, including the decrease in coffee, just to name one of many. I really enjoy the sparkling water and do not want to take them out necessarily, but I do worry about their higher acidity is bad for my bones. From my understanding, there are not any solid studies that show non-cola carbonated waters are linked with bone density, but rationally speaking, they probably do. Please tell me that I'm wrong, though. ! Thank you. Okay, so I think I can maybe help to a degree alleviate some of those worries. Here's the thing. My opinion, humans are meant to drink naturally flowing spring water, but that is so difficult to get clean, natural flowing spring water at the source, right? So I don't get that, right? I mean, I wish I did, it'd be amazing. But even if I did that, I'd still have to filter it because I don't want Giardia, or like, how do I know, what's, what kind of animal is living in that water a half a mile up, right? I don't, right? So it's important, right? It's important. You still need to filter that water. And so the next best thing I always say is, get yourself a good reverse osmosis filter or your favorite filter. And then if you can, run it through a hydrogen ionizer. And now you're adding more hydrogen back to the water, and why that's important. So anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, I have a whole article and videos and testing, all these things at stevencabral.com/hydrogen-water. stevencabral.com/hydrogen-water. I can't recommend checking out that page enough. You're going to hear more about hydrogen water in the future. Some of the products are mainly bogus. Some are actually, they really work. I tested them. I actually tested Spindrift because on the weekends, here's the thing. Cola is bad for your bones. Pepsi, Coke, all of these things, because they contain phosphoric acid. They're very acidic. They draw minerals from the body. They're not good. Many of them also have high degrees of caffeine, which can spike cortisol levels, which then can create some osteopenia, osteoporosis. So I totally get where you're coming from. Spindrift does not have phosphoric acid. Some of them only use lemon juice, lime juice, things like that to create the acidity as a natural preservative. Some of them have citric acid, but it's such a small amount too. I don't necessarily think that I'd be all that worried about that, to be truthful. So then we're talking about, okay, well, it's then sparkling water. I don't know if Spindrift has filtered water. I honestly have no idea whether they do or not. And it basically has no calories. So every once in a while on the weekend, I talked about this on a previous Friday review, excuse me, I don't drink alcohol anymore. I mean, I barely did for the last 20 years. And even then, even before that, it was only on the weekend that I would enjoy a couple of drinks with my friends. But now I don't at all. Like, I just don't. It's just not even worth it. So maybe like once a quarter, I may have a drink. And I know, like, for a lot of you, that's just sounds really boring. I totally get it. I totally understand it. But it's just a decision I've made because I don't feel as great, when I'm drinking the next day. And so if I do, it's earlier in the night. And again, I know that's super boring, but it is what it is. I've just decided not to do that. And so I will have something like the Nojito by Spindrift. I'll pour it over ice. I might even ground in some fresh mint, and I pretend like I'm having a real drink. And it's actually pretty delicious. But I typically only do one, maybe two in the weekend. If you're having one or two a day, it's going to be more acidic water. And you might say, well, that doesn't really matter because your body regulates pH. True. But like, your body has to use its own minerals in order to do that. So what you could do is just offset that by mixing a Spindrift, if you wanted to, with some of that hydrogen water that it has a negative ORP. I can't get too deep into this right now, but it then has less of the oxidation there because the Spindrift is oxidized water. Show that in the testing at stevencabral.com/hydrogen-water. And you can do it at a little higher pH. And so you can mix your Spindrift like half and half with hydrogen water or not. That will help offset it. Or just during the day, you can just drink other lower ORP water, and a little higher pH, and it'll just add more minerals back in, and you'll be good to go. So overly, I wouldn't worry about it. Sounds like you're living a very healthy lifestyle. But you do have to be somewhat cautious because you do have diagnosed osteopenia. So hopefully that's helpful. Kind of a long answer, but I want to be helpful. I don't want to scare you because you shouldn't be scared about this. You're living a great, healthy life. Get your minerals in. Take your daily nutritional support. Take your daily activated multi. Get in some good sea salt. Get in some lemons, some limes in there. Even that alone, squeezing lemon or lime into your Spindrift will be helpful. All right, Zach's up next. Since 2020 or 2021, when I got sick, I've been having different sensations take place in my skin. It feels like a penny is being heated up and pushed onto my skin, making it feel like a burning or cold water dripping. There are no visual marks on my skin when these take place. The sensation can show up anywhere from my arm, chest, leg, hand, etc., and only stays in a spot for seconds. It doesn't hurt, but it's extremely annoying as this has been going on for a few years now. Do you have any idea what it is? I recently sent my test in as I purchased the Big 5, and I have a consultation with Jen. Excuse me. Well, you're in great hands. We're talking with Jen. So you wrote in, again, about 12 weeks ago. You're gonna get everything you need from Jen. She's a fantastic health coach. And so you're going to get everything. But let me just share with you some reasons why. So we've seen this many times in our practice. When I was at my worst, I had this almost full body, tingling, heat, then sometimes cold. There can be a bunch of things going on. There can be a histamine or cytokine-based response. There can be what's called an eicosanoid. I don't want to get too down the rabbit hole. I did an interview about this with omega-3s. Maybe we can help link that up. But basically what happens is there's inflammation-based pathways. Having too high omega-6s can be a part of it. Viral-based issues can be a part of it. Elevated levels of cortisol can be a part of it. Or too low levels of cortisol, which is what I had, can be a part of it as well. And so there is a real issue between the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, and then it becomes an imbalance in the immune system. So I have a whole podcast on this as well. Basically, it's called neuroendoimmune function. The nervous system becomes dysfunctional. That is basically the fight or flight response. Then the hormones get disrupted. That is the sex hormones, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, DHEA, that get imbalanced by the stress hormones, which are norepinephrine, which are also excitatory neurotransmitters, aldosterone, and cortisol, which then ultimately affects the immune system. And we get that imbalance in inflammation from, they're called COX enzyme pathways, and this can create inflammatory issues in the body. It can lead to allergies, it can lead to migraines, it can lead to asthma, or it can lead to the other side, which is pain, heat, inflammation. Now, I go down the pathway of allergies and asthma. That's what I had as a kid. Other people go down the pathway as to heat, migraines, joint pain. And so this can be really well balanced with taking in omega-3s, like the daily omega-3 support, but of course, getting more to the underlying root cause. Now, maybe omega-6s are the underlying root cause, but I think there's always more to it. And so we want to look into that. You're in great hands with Jen. That's all I have to say. All right, Jessica is up next. I know we're going a little long today, but I want to always get in at least 5 per day. Okay, so Jessica says, my mom is dealing with debilitating sciatica pain. She has had an injury in her back for 30 years ago, where she twisted her back and pinched a nerve, but the pain is only coming back terrible now. Nothing is helping, including acupuncture, physical therapy, chiropractic adjustments, etc. What do you recommend? Okay, so this is literally the world that I lived in for all of the late 90s, all the way up to like 2010, 2011 or so. And so why does it come after 30 years, right? The accident was 30 years ago. The injury was 30 years ago. Now it's starting to come 30 years later. Maybe she was 20 when she had it. She's 50 now. Muscle atrophy is a big part of it, and then not being able to balance inflammatory pathways. And so we need, now I know there's acupuncture, which I love, don't get me wrong, love acupuncture. Physical therapy is fine. Here's the issue with physical therapy. They're not, and again, some physical therapists are not like this. They're amazing. They really are. When I went to physical therapy for my shoulder, they're going through the basic exercises. It's not making me stronger. It wasn't making me stronger. I went to a colleague of mine. I have a torn labrum in my shoulder, and I said, I'm not getting surgery. Like, no matter what, I have terrible pain in my shoulder from an injury that I got, and I'm just not getting surgery. Let's work together. Let's fix this. So, if I was in your mom's position, I would be doing foam rolling, myofascial release, opening up the hip-based area because that's where the sciatic nerve runs down the leg from the lower back. And I would be doing strength-based training. And so I started strength training again, even though, again, I don't say work through the pain, never hurt yourself, but I got my body stronger again and all the pain went away. And but the tear is still there in my shoulder. Like, it's still there, but the muscles are strong enough now to hold that shoulder in place. And so we need to work on hamstring and glute strength, which is something that just gets weaker over time. And we need to work on inflammation. So personally, if I was me, I'd be doing the daily foundational protocol, getting those daily omegas in there, getting in my daily fruit and vegetable blend, getting in my daily nutritional support, taking my D3, taking those daily omega-3s if I didn't already mention that for that inflammation. And then I'd be using a product called InflamaSoothe. All right. And the InflamaSoothe, I'd be taking 3 of those per day. Take them at any meal you want. that helps with those COX enzyme pathways as well. So it's not a long, I wouldn't even say it's a long road ahead. It's getting a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. Finding out the things that are causing more pain, like less sitting, moving the body, but you can overcome it. There's like no doubt about it that you can overcome this. So Jessica, that is the plan. It's at least a place to get started. Hopefully this was helpful. I'll be back tomorrow answering more of our community's questions. Take care, everybody. Have an amazing rest of the day. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.